Hello everyone. Today we are going to introduce for publishing geoprocessing with SuperGIS server. This demo video is produced by GTS Department of SuperGIS Inc. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email us. The email address is staff@supergeotech.com. Before we start to publish the web service, here are the tools and data we should prepare for. First of all, you need SuperGIS Desktop and SuperGIS Server 3.1a in Standard Edition or above. For the data part, you should prepare a project file for SuperGIS Desktop. We code it as SGD file that includes the geoprocessing functions. The first step is creating new toolkit. To create a new toolkit and a new process. For the first step, after launch SuperGIS Toolkit in SuperGIS Desktop, by right-click on the menu, you can add a new toolkit and a new process. And then open the Process Designer window to set up the workflow for the geoprocessing. The most two useful tools in the Designer window are Select and Add Connection. Use Select tool to drag each function listed in the Toolkit panel into your own Process Designer window. And for the Add Connection tool, once you want to use an output of the previous analysis result as an input for the next new process, just as the figure shows in the slide. For example, using the output data from the select function as the input to do buffer analyzing. You can use it to draw a line directly in the window to connect the two items. If you find the connection line is wrong, you want to delete it, you just need to right-click on the line and the option will show up, and you can choose to delete it, and then the line will be gone. Here is the second step, design for the workflow. In this step, it is very important to change some settings, especially when you are publishing an interactive web service. For the workflow in the Process Designer window, you should assign the parameters and the results. Take buffer for example. The distance to build a buffer area, it belongs to the parameters. Then you should mark it as B by right-click on the item and select Process Parameters. And for the final result, the clip data should belong to the result and show on the map. So the output should set it as R, and remember to check for Add to Display by right-click on the output item. About the settings for parameters and the results. Why we need to do these extra steps? The reason for setting it as parameters and the result is to be an interactive web service for end users. For example, end users can type in a number to set the radius for the buffer area. Not only the P and R will relate to the end user's modification. You should also notice the name of the folder of Toolkit and the process. These elements are all required when modifying the code for the web. For the third step, test before publish. After finish the designing for the workflow, you need to save it as a project file, SGD. Then the new created toolkit will exist in the SGD file. Next step is we are going to test the workflow is available or not. You can click the Run icon in the Process Designer window, or you can click it in the drop-down menu from Process, just like the two red rectangles in the slide. do remember that you have set the result to be added to display on the map in the previous step? Once you finish running the workflow, the result should display on the map automatically. If not, you may need to check for all the settings until it can be run successfully in SuperGIS desktop. Otherwise, it won't be successful in the web service neither. Now, let's switch to the server part. Now we are in step 4, adding the processing in SuperGIS server. By the web manager of SuperGIS server, you can assign the editable layer by the second tab. For publishing or geoprocessing service, it is in the third tab. You must check the item to publish the following process, and choose the one you use to add the toolkit in. Now, in step 5, modify code for web page. Take JavaScript for example. After finish publish a web service, you should add the function that enable the geoprocessing. There are two ways to have the sample code. The first is to check for the help menu. Take JavaScript for example. You can copy the original web pages in HTML format to modify and add the function in. The sample code for the function part is provided in the help menu of SuperGIS server. When modify the code of web page, the names of the process should be included in the class and the method part, shown as a slide. For the parameters part, if there is a specific format for the parameters, for example, point or string, it should be also added in. Okay, here is a quick note to check for the format of the parameters. You can open the SGD file by web browser, such as Internet Explorer or Google Chrome or Firefox. In the In-Output section, you can see the format for the parameters. The one shown in the slide now is the parameter for the select function. It is applied by the SQL selection. Then, you can add it in the code. Another way to get the sample code, you can download it from SGDN, the developer network of SuperGIS. From the Resource Center, you can search the topic in SuperGIS samples. For the SuperGIS server, you can download scripts in different computer languages, such as JavaScript or Flex or Silverlight. Here is the final, step 6, exam from the web service. To test the process on the web application, you can modify the JavaScript code to add the result onto the map. You can add an alert to show it is the end of geoprocessing. Or you can add codes for checking the details of the contents sending to the server part. Here, the str post, the one in red rectangle in this slide, represents the class and method, also the parameters in the geoprocessing. You may refer to the previous page to recall for the settings. Another way to examine it is executed successfully or not is to display the result as text. By the code for respond the text, because the method for transferring data between geoprocessing and server belongs to the XML format. As a result, you can request the result as text format.